Hey guys, Coach Adam talking to you today, and today I'm giving you my top 10 at this year's Arnold Classic. What an exciting time of year again. The Arnold Classic is here, which is arguably the second biggest show in the world for a bikini, invite only, and you have to have had won a pro show before even to get into this competition. So we're talking the best of the best, invite only, and it is an awesome, awesome show. If you guys have never been, you should check it out. Maybe watch it online if you can't get there. So let's go ahead and go into it. Who is my top 10 picks? It's so close that I actually got an extra in there. So let's go ahead and start it off. So right off the back, I'm going to go into Ashley Cotwalser. Obviously, Ashley Cotwalser is a legend. She's one of my best friends. She's someone I prep. I'm not even someone I would really call my client because I feel like our relationship's too good to call her that. But yes, we are prepping for this show and we're giving it our all. She just had surgery. She does have some major downtime because of it. She's not able to lift weights the way that she wants to lift. But Ashley, if you know Ashley, she is absolutely tenacious and will never give up on anything. So even though right now she's down and we're only 4 weeks out from the show, she's still trying her best. We are going to give it everything we got. She's flying back into Denver here pretty soon. We're going to train, and try to catch up. And wherever she ends up, I'm going to be proud of her no matter what, because I know she's giving it her all. Now, even if Ashley was 100%, I would not be placing her anywhere because she doesn't like it when I would do that, because obviously I'm going to say she's going to win because that's what I would love, but I'm not going to ever do that. She's like, well, she would be like, don't ever place me in the top 3 because then it looks like we're being cocky. If you know Ashley, she's very, very humble. So I'm not going to say she's not in the top 10, but I'm not going to put her in these placings because I feel like it's too biased if I did that. So let's eliminate her. I do think she's going to do quite well. If we can even bring a 95% Ashley, I think she's going to do great. But we're going to eliminate her for so many variables, so many reasons, and because it's just too biased if I were to put her in the top, if I were to put in the top 10. So let's get her out of there. But yes, I would say watch out for Ashley. If we could bring anything like we did last year where she got 3rd place, expect something similar if we can get her anywhere close to that again. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into it. My top 10. So the first part of this top 10, I think, is going to be so difficult. I think that the girls fighting for that 10th place spot is going to be between a few girls, actually. And this is where I'm not so certain. So you have here a couple different girls that I'm going to throw into the mix of this top 10 placing. And as you guys know, top 10 placing at the Arnold is no joke. I mean, you're getting top 10 there. You're getting pretty close to top 10 at the Olympia. So the girls that you're going to see here are going to be battling it out, who have made serious improvements that really do all contend for even maybe a higher position than that 10th. This is what I think is going to go down. Let me do my numbers here real quick again. All right, so my top 10, I think, is going to be one of these 3 girls. I think it's going to be Masa, Alicia, or B. So there's different things about all 3 of these girls and why it's so hard. Now, with the variables in bikini, you can never just say, oh, this girl's for sure going to win. It's just not possible in bikini. There's too many variables. It's not like bodybuilding. In bodybuilding, the biggest, leanest, most symmetrical guy wins every time. And in bikini, that is just not the case. So looking at Masa and the improvements she's made. Now, let's look at her career and how many shows she's done here. She's done a ton of shows. She's really been a workhorse, especially in 2019 when the point system was still happening for the Olympia. She was fighting, improving every show. She looked great. I don't think there was really a show where she was really off. I've seen her in different conditions. I've seen her sharper. I've seen her a little softer. In this picture here, she's a little bit softer than I've seen her in other places, but she has the look that is starting to really happen in bikini right now, which is that full V taper, good shoulders, beautiful complexion, great beauty, great lines. She's a tall competitor, so that is a variable when she's standing next to smaller girls because she looks so much larger than them. So she has that wow factor about her because of that. Now, is that going to play into a positive or a negative depending on who she's standing next to? It's just hard to say. Now, looking at her and how she's been improving gradually throughout all of these shows, I think that we haven't seen her for a little while, and we're going to see a big improvement come at the Arnold Classic. She's recently starting to work with my buddy James, and the guy's legit. I think he's going to bring an awesome package for it. I think that she's going to keep progressing at a similar level. I don't see her going to be all of a sudden just tremendously better, but I do think that she's going to keep increasing gradually better at the rate that she was and going to bring an awesome package. So I'm really excited to see what she does. I actually am a big fan of Masa. I'm a friend of Masa. She's one of my favorite bikini competitors, and she's just a great person. So I would love to see her hopefully call into the top 5. But as of right now, I think that she's going to be top 10. I think that there's a couple of things that she can work on her physique to really get to that higher level. I think that she's not complete yet. I think that she's really, really close. And I know that my buddy James is going to get her to that 100% level pretty soon. So will we see it at the Arnold? I don't know. Now, Alicia is a curveball. Alicia, if you saw her down here, she was really struggling. She was really not getting the places that she should have been getting, that she felt that she deserved. And I felt that she deserved too. It was one of those ones where I was just like, I don't really know what's happening, why she's not getting those placings, because she looks awesome. She's got the line, she's got the beauty, she's got the fullness. I don't understand. And it's one of those things where sometimes it just takes time to click. And in 2019, I want to say late 2019, she ended up going and she's working with my buddy Ricardo now in Brazil. And they've really tuned things up. She's gotten a lot more muscle. She's bringing in, I would say, similar levels of conditioning. She never really had an issue with her conditioning. It was just she needed more overall muscle. So all of a sudden, she started doing really good, and she even won a pro show. Really, really happy. That was a happy day for me. That was a really happy day for her. We talked a little bit about it after that, and it was just really cool to see her because she never gave up. And that should be a good lesson to everyone out there who's struggling and not getting the placings they deserve. And, just keep going, because you can still make those improvements, switch some things up. And she did. She went back to the I guess the start of everything and said, hey, you know what? I need more muscle these days. I'm going to work on my V taper a little bit. I'm going to get my shoulders a little bigger and bring the similar level of conditioning. Ricardo's an awesome dude. He's my buddy. And he has a good eye for this. And I'm sure they put together a plan and it really worked out. Now, Alicia is progressing at a level faster than most right now. Okay, I haven't seen her compete for a little while. She competed this year earlier and got her first place, and she got qualified for the Olympia, which is awesome. And then after you win a first place after the Olympia, you carry that momentum with you. And but you know what, you did your job. You qualified for the Olympia, so now it's like sometimes you'll see girls' motivation go down just a little bit because the mission's accomplished at that point. She got a second and a third place after that win. But do we know if it was a higher level of competition? Was that the reason? Was she trying something new because she was already qualified? Was she not as motivated because she qualified and that's the reason she's got second and third? So there's a lot of variables that we don't know after that first place. But I guarantee you this, that she's 100% motivated and will bring a 100% package to the Arnold. Now, with more time off and her progressing at such a fast rate, is that now means she's in 5th place and even better than that top 10? I don't know. So I'm excited to see that one because that's going to be a curveball. And I know that Ricardo won't drop the ball on that. And he's going to put a better package no matter what than the last first place. So this is an exciting one. I do think that she's going to be in that top 10. It's going to be a battle between, I think, Masa, her, and B for that top 10 spot. Now, B is another curveball. And this is why these top 10 girls, the girls that are in the top 10, they're all going to be interchangeable. I mean, B can easily be 10th and win the whole show in the same night because this is bikini, and that's just how it goes in bikini. Now, B has a pro win. I think she has 2 pro wins, if I'm not mistaken. I think this one might be a little wrong. I know she has got one here. Okay, here it is. I'm sorry. There is a pro win right here. That one I know she won. So there you go. B's got 2 pro wins, and she is super, super young. For you guys who don't know, I think she just turned 20 or 21. I'm not sure. B is super, super nice, super friendly, very humble. Her coach out there and her are a really good relationship. And it's one of those relationships where you know that they're constantly working on improving. And when you're talking to someone who's this young and is this like young of muscle, is going to improve at a very fast rate. She's not even close to her full potential yet. So that's scary. We haven't seen her for a little while. And the last time we saw her, she got second place. You know what? Maybe might not have seen the last time she competed. Let me double check here real quick. She did the Yamamoto Pro. So yeah, it's been a little while, not a long time at all. She did that in, that was after the Olympia by a couple of weeks. So I think that was in November, if I'm not mistaken, or no, October. So we haven't seen her for a little while. And when you talk about a young girl like her going from a show from October till now, March, that's a lot of time. You got to remember, she hasn't even been lifting weights that long. She's only 20 years old. So her time frame getting better in that time period is very, very possible, very, very likely. I think that on her physique, that she just needed to bring a slightly better, a little bit better balance in her physique. And I know that she's aware of that. I know her coach is aware of that. And I'm sure that they've worked on that dramatically and that she's bringing it. Now she brings a very good look, very pretty, very bubbly, like her, not in her posing or anything, like her bubbly, her muscles are bubbly. Like if you think of muscles that are round and full, but not grainy and striated, that is exactly what Bree brings to the package. Super, super nice girl too. I mean, you can see her shoulder separation is awesome, and you're not seeing those hard lines, and that's what they like in bikini. They like to see the muscle, but they don't want to see like separation and crazy striations and all this vascularity and that overall like dryness. It's just not usually the look for bikini. There are some occasions where that happens, and a girl like that will get away with it, and maybe they like that look on her, but it's very, very rare. So B has that what we call pretty muscle, right? It's the muscle that it can get bigger, but it's not going to get like scarier or harder looking, right? It's that pretty muscle. So when you have someone like that and you start improving them, they can get a lot of muscle and still look really good and not pass the criteria. And I'm kind of curious of what she's going to bring to the package. Now, a lot of these girls, this is the biggest show that they've ever done. So when you talk about Masa, Alicia, Beatrice, like there's ETILA, I think is another one. Daraja is another one. These girls are going to be bringing a package different than they've brought before because they are 100% motivated, 100% motivated because it's the biggest show of their life. So this is one of those times where you're like, what are they going to bring to the table? And it's going to be such an exciting weekend because of that. Now, coming in somewhere in the 9th or 8th spot, I think is going to be Camille Perriat. She is amazing. And honestly, she's one of those girls that could win the whole show too. I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up top 3. But right now, I think based on the momentum of everything, how everyone's been doing and who's doing the show and her placings last year and how the placings at the Olympia, I think that that's about where she's going to end up. Now, she's got one of those physiques that's very, very complete. I don't see a ton of areas where she can make dramatic improvements and not take away from her frame. I do see that these days that bikini has gotten a little bit more muscular, a little bit more on the V taper. And I think that's the reason why I have some of these other girls beating her and kind of placing higher than hers, because they're structurally, they have that look that's been kind of doing well in bikini lately. Now, her conditioning is always on point. Balance, 100% on point. The only thing that you could really look at with her in terms of improvement is like tiny little things, a little bit in posing, a little bit, maybe a tiny bit more in the legs, just to give a little bit tiny better balance. But she is very, very complete. I mean, if you like sculpted one of those trophies, that's who it would look like the trophies that they give away at the award ceremonies when a girl wins first place. It's basically her. It's basically her covered in bronze. I mean, it's that basically, if you think bikini, she's got that look. So it's one of those looks that you never know. It could just do really, really well, and she could surprise us all. But as of right now, I have her around in that 8th place spot. Now, looking at moving up is going to be the kind of the surprises, right? The new ones and some of the kind of the unknowns. And that's as we go on, you're going to kind of see some surprises in here. Now, the next one I think is going to be no surprise at all is Marcia. There's really not too much I can say about her. She's seasoned. She's really good at what she does. She brings a different level of conditioning than other girls bring. You just don't see the level of conditioning that she brings to the very often, and that does well. She's one of those girls that just has that pretty muscle, and because of it, she can get shredded, and it doesn't show that graininess. She's got a very athletic look. Her and her coach just do an amazing job with that look and actually making it look pretty and not making it look too much. So she's one of those ones where you're like, man, is she too lean? And then the next thing you know, she wins the whole show. You're like, I guess not. That wasn't too lean. And it's because she has the look and she can get away with it with her physique, and it works best on her physique. And the judges like seeing that on her. So that tight look, that fullness of the muscles, that pretty muscle that's not too grainy, she has that. I think that the only thing that she can improve on a little bit more of is going to be the balance. I do think that her balance of her legs is just a tiny bit off, and I think that's what's the only thing keeping her from going to like that next level at the upper level. Now it's literally just a tiny bit, but every girl, and just so you know, I want it to look like I'm ever picking on anyone. Every girl is going to have something they can improve on, even the best in the world. When we talk about Ashley, we talk about her upper body can still be a little bit more balanced to her lower body. And so I'm just wanting you to know that even if they're not my athletes, and I'm saying they can just do a little bit better here, not picking on anyone. Everyone has something they can work on. Even Mr. Olympia has something he can work on. So that's what I think that would take her to that next level. Now, if we see that level of balance with that level of conditioning and fullness, with a little bit more V taper to match her lower body and maybe bring her quads down just a tad, I think that she's a very dangerous girl and could surprise everyone. But as of right now, I have her in that top 6 place. I think actually I'm at number 7 or so right now. Now the next one is the next 2 are my scary curveballs for this one. Out of everyone here, actually the next 3 are the scariest ones. So ETILA, I can't say enough about her. She is she's like the nicest person ever. And every time we talk, she's just like so humble and so sweet, and she's killing it. And she's really made some dramatic changes to her physique and really found what works for her. She just won the Iron Games. She won the muscle contest in Brazil, which is not an easy show to win. If you know those Brazilians, they're no joke. So, the Angelica is from Brazil. Isa's from Brazil. That's the last 3 Olympian winners were Brazilian. That's how good they are. So out there winning a show, it is a tough thing to do because there's some serious names, some serious depth in Brazil. Ricardo's out there and he's putting out some awesome physiques. So if you're winning those shows out there, you're doing well. And especially if you're winning them there, and then you're winning them in California where there's another tough level of competition. So ETILA is honestly, she's got a scary package because she has the look that's kind of been doing really well lately. Incredible V taper, that pretty muscle that we're talking about again. And when I mean pretty muscle, look at her muscle here in her shoulders, in her arms, look at her legs. You don't see any of that like hard graininess to her muscle. You don't see that you see that shredded look. I mean, she's shredded. She's probably right now, this is probably 14% body fat. Just so you guys know, like everyone thinks that they're like, I just put a post out about this the other day. Everyone says when they do a show, they're like, I was 10% body fat. If you were 10% body fat, you would be shredded out of your mind. That's like women's physique level body fat. Bikini body fat, 14, 15%. Anything lower than that is going to be getting a little too crazy. You might have a couple girls that can be 13, but that is shredded to the bone. So some girls are coming in at 16% and doing really well. So now with where she's at right now, there's not much more that she needs. Her balance is very, very good. You see her legs with her upper body. When you look at her, you can't really pick apart something that is off in her balance. It's really difficult to do. There's a couple different things that she could do with her conditioning. Can she bring a tighter look? Will she bring a softer look? What's going to do well for her? She's relatively seasoned, but not completely seasoned yet, where there's still some room for figuring out what her best look is. It might be a tighter look. I think that when you have a big show like this and you're that there's some tough competitors and that your ranking is going to be, you're going to be behind, 5 or maybe 6 of the girls doing this show that beat you out at the Olympia, that you are going to give it your all. You're going to go and maybe try something new and maybe say, hey, you know what, I'm going to bring a tighter look this time and see how that does. I'm going to go for it. And whatever happens, happens. That's kind of a lot of times the attitude going into it. At least that's how I bring it. I don't play it safe. Personally, I'm like, let's try something. Let's see if it works. If not, then we know it didn't work and we have a baseline to go from and improve on from there. So, when you have this level of competition, you're trying to climb the ranks. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't think it would hurt her in any way to do that. So we'll see what she brings, what the game plan ends up being. But this is a scary bikini competitor because she can easily get, 10th place and easily get first place. It's a scary look because there's a lot of unknowns with her and with the next girl who I would say is my pick for scariest girl going into the Arnold Classic. And one, I really like this girl a lot. I met her in, forget where I met her. I was at the Angel Competition Bikinis posing class, and she was posing with me and Ashley. We're doing some posing with her and helping her out. And she was an amateur at that time, and it was so cool to see her like climb the ranks. It was an amazing. It's like a Cinderella story, just watching her grow in the sport and then do really well. So my pick for scariest girl Going into the Arnold, Daraja. Daraja is freaking scary. Okay. We don't know enough about Daraja to know how good she is. We just don't know how good she is yet. She might be the next, she might be the next Miss Olympia. We don't know how good she is yet. It's crazy. All we know is Daraja went to nationals, won the overall, did her first Bikini Pro show, won it, did her second Bikini Pro show, won it, right? That's it. And that's crazy, right? Because these girls, she hasn't gone up against a lot of these girls in this at this level of competition. It just hasn't, she hasn't done it yet. So we don't know how good she is. What if she walks in to the Arnold and beats everyone there? It would be surprising, but would it really be that surprising? It would be like, oh, I guess that was entirely possible because we didn't know how good she was until she went up against this level of competition. I mean, it's just so scary. Like I think about it, I'm like, what if that's that? And I know her and her camp, and she trains with Paul, who's an awesome coach. I think that there's a lot of figuring out where she's actually ranked at this point. I do think that she's going to be in the upper ranks. I think that I would bet a large sum of money that she's in the first call out. Usually in that first call out at the Arnold and those bigger shows, you're going to get like a 6-person, 7-person first call out. I would bet a large sum of money that she's going to be in that first call out. And her momentum going from show to show, beating some decent names, in those shows, but not the names of the next few girls that I'm going to mention. We're going to find out where she actually places. She's relatively green in this. She's got to figure out where she can improve. I know her coach has a very good eye for this, and I think that I'm sure they're working on some good things already, what to improve on her. I don't see a ton of issues with her with Daraja. I don't see anything that really points out to me where I'm like, okay, you need to work on this. You need to work on this. The only things I'm really seeing with her is that she's got a very superior structure. Structurally, she was given, like, if she had a conversation with God about making the best structure that she could for this sport specifically, and she said she did that, I wouldn't doubt it. I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. I'm sure you had that conversation. So structurally, amazing. Now, she does come in really full. I don't know if that fullness look that she has is ever affecting her core and how tight she is in the core. I don't know if she's going to be making improvements in the core. There's just very few areas of improvement that I think that she needs. If I'm looking at any, it would be just right in this section here. I think there could be a tiny bit more detail. I don't know if she was tighter, if that would be the case, or she'd look too lean. But amazing physique. She's one of those girls that you just want to change a tiny bit and see where she's at. Honestly, if she came in just like this, she might win the whole damn show. You just don't know. She's so scary. Now, the next girl is scary, but I wouldn't say as scary as Daraja because we know a lot about her. So Justine MUNRO, she's coming back. She hasn't been around since 2017. And just so you guys know, she was an absolute nightmare when she was competing just a few years back. Look at this long resume. And I don't even think that's all her shows, honestly. I think she's done more than that. But she's got wins almost in every year. She's doing some pretty big shows. She got second at the Arnold. She's done some amazing things. I think that the year she got second was actually against Ashley, when Ashley won the Arnold. She's done really well. She's gotten top 10 at the Olympia. She is no joke. And here's the thing that's scary about Justine. One, she works with an awesome coach, one of the better eyes in the entire business, right? One of the better eyes in the world at finding problems and making things better. Now, when she was competing and winning her shows, back a few years ago, the look wasn't really designed for her to be winning the shows that she was winning. It wasn't designed to have someone who's shredded and full and having, really muscular look. Like, she was the girl that was known to be really, really muscular, and the more muscular bikini girls kind of looked up to. And she was that girl, but it didn't really line up so well because the girls really weren't that muscular and that lean back then. But she brought in a level of conditioning that was like unheard of back in 2014 and 15. So she also brought a level of muscle that wasn't really around at that time frame too, at least not by girls who were doing well. So she became kind of that like poster girl for having muscle, being lean and conditioned and bringing that look and that overly, like, I want to say overly, but that really, really athletic look. And, you know, if you guys know me, I'm a huge fan of that look. I love the muscular athletic bikini girl. That's just, I just love it. I think they look like real athletes, and they're like, it's just, I just love it. It's a bodybuilding sport, you know? And so I love this look. Now, that's why this is so scary for her, because if she was doing well when the sport really wasn't that muscular and that full and that dry, what's going to happen now when it is? Because now it is a little bit more muscular. It is a tiny bit more conditioned. It is more, there is a little bit more fullness, especially on the upper body fullness and the V taper and the shoulder width. She's always been very well balanced. She's always had the balance. She's always had a tiny waistline. She's always had glute ham tie-ins, crazy conditioning. So now if she stays the same, has the sport now caught up to her? Has the sport now caught up to Justine, where when she comes back, she just starts dominating and that's the next Miss Olympia? It's entirely possible. I mean, it's one of those things where I wouldn't be surprised. There's, you know, I don't know what she looks like right now. If she looks anything like this is a super competitive bikini athlete in the 2020 market. Super competitive. Like she's dangerous. So now let's go ahead and move on to, I think, is going to be in that top 4. Now, of course, I'm going to mention again, I don't have Ashley in here because it's a little biased if I did, but I do believe that she's going to be, you know, somewhere in this rankings. So I'll say that. Of course, if we can actually, you know, get past the injury and start and actually do it. Now, Jen Ron is awesome. Very, very seasoned competitor. She won the Chicago Pro just a while back. She won the Arizona Pro the year before that. And I think she had a back-to-back show. Yeah, at the Clash. And just so you guys know, the World Clash is a legit show, like legit show. They have really big prize money at the World Clash. Everyone wants to do that and win that show because it is, one, it's a prestigious show, but 2, the prize money is awesome. You know, why wouldn't you want to do that show and win that show? You got the prestigiousness of it. You have real level of competition. You got good prize money, and she won it. So a couple years back, so she's no joke. You know, with bikini, people are always like, you know, how old is too old in bikini? Well, it doesn't matter. It matters how you look, you know, and she is not showing a single sign of age. 37 years old, still absolutely looks ferocious. Body of a, you know, someone who looks 20. You know, actually better than better than like 99.9% of 20-year-olds. So I don't think that that's going to be an issue. Always been one of the prettier girls on stage, and I think, and she always will be. So she's been one of those ones that's kind of been just a little bit, like a little bit up and down, not a lot, just a little bit here and there, where she'd take these little like surprising lower placings where I'm like, I wonder why, you know, it's just kind of one of those, I wonder why things. But she brings a very consistent package. You know what? She's one I don't know who she trains with, but she brings a very consistent package. She did really well at the Olympia. She got 7th at the Olympia. You know, a few points behind Ashley at the Olympia. So that tells you she's still operating at a very, very high level. She's one of those, when you're in the top 10 of the Olympia, you can go to any show and potentially win it, even the Arnold. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a higher ranking from her than 4th. I think she got a higher placing than that at one point. Let me see here. Let me go back down here and look. I thought she got, okay, Arnold Classic, 3rd place. Yeah, so she did. I thought she got 2nd at one point. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so 3rd place. So I mean, obviously that is a crazy, crazy high placing for the Arnold. We're talking the Arnold is arguably the 2nd biggest show in the world, right? So this is a really high placing for that. So I still believe in this girl. I think she's not done anytime soon. I think she's got a good at least 3 years in her where she's competing and still destroying shows. So is this going to be, you know, I think we haven't seen her for a little while. Yeah, the Olympia, we haven't seen her since the Olympia. So is she going to be making those improvements that she knew that she needed to make? Because this is what happens when you do shows and you're winning shows and some of these bigger names aren't there. Like obviously like Angelica wasn't going to be doing all the smaller shows because she was the Miss Olympia. So why would she be doing these smaller shows? So when you have Angelica and you have Janet and, you know, Issa did a ton of shows last year, so she doesn't really count in that one. When you have these harder girls to beat and you actually go against them and you're standing next to them, that's when you can see where your problems are at. And you're like, okay, she has that on me. Okay, she has that on me, that on me, that on me. And I need to fix these areas. I'm going to just go back to the wheelhouse, start working on those areas, and you're going to see me have those areas more improved next time. And then they stand next to him again, and maybe they made those corrections, and you don't really get to know some of those things until you're next to them. Sometimes you're killing the shows where these people aren't at, and you just think you're just like riding this momentum, and you're like, man, it's working really well, I don't need to change anything. And then you stand next to an Issa, an Angelica, a Janet, you're like, okay, actually there is some problems. I'm too big in the legs next to them, I'm too wide in the waist next to them, my shoulders are too whatever next to them. And so there's always that when you run into them. So I think that you're always going to see a competitor who's ferocious as Jennifer make more improvements going from being next to people like that, being in 7th, and then seeing them again 6 months later. So I would say look out for her, watch out for that. Now, the next 3, I don't think is going to be any surprise. Usual suspects. The next one coming up is Janet Leug. She won this show last year. Amazing conditioning. I mean, what can't you say about Janet? I mean, the show was, I mean, look at that. Isn't that ironic? She was number 1 last year, and she was number 1 last year. Janet is consistent. You look up consistent in the dictionary, Janet's there. She is Janet's a sweetheart. She always goes out of her way to say hi. Every time I see her, it doesn't matter how busy she is, and she's literally consistent. She's one of those girls who I'm always surprised that she's just so motivated for so long. Being a coach and coaching even high level people, you think that all high level people are always super motivated and they're always going to be kicking ass, and you just tell them, hey, go eat this, and they'll eat that. But that's not the case. The super high level people, they're the same as regular people who are amateurs. There's no difference. The only difference, they've been doing it longer, but they go through the same struggles. You go through, okay, I've been doing this a while, I'm not as motivated for this show, I'm not motivated as much for this show. For some reason, that doesn't seem to happen to Janet. Like, it just doesn't. It's just crazy. She's a mom, she's busy. I don't know how she's able to stay so consistent for so long. Look at this resume on Janet. Look at this. It's insane. Like, competing back, I think they just didn't even have the other stuff. I think she was did a lot more shows than this. I don't think all her shows are even in here, because Janet is, and look at her placings. Like, find a place where she got lower than 6th. Oh, here you go. One time she got 8th place at the Arnold Classic. That is so, consistency is insane. And these are no joke shows. She doesn't like putt around doing shows that are easy. She is like, she goes after the hardest shows. She does well at the hardest shows. She's always, when you see her in a lineup, there's 3 girls in that lineup who are in the top 5, top 8 at the Olympia. She doesn't, like, you just see her at the bigger shows. So she challenges herself as hard as she can, and she always does really well with these placings. So consistency is not going to be an issue for Janet. She has it figured out, and she's evolved. That's the cool thing about Janet, is she's evolved. If you look at her back in the 2012, 2013 days, her conditioning wasn't like this. Her glutes weren't like this. Her shoulders weren't this wide and capped off. It wasn't anywhere near that, but she's kept up. She studies it. She's changed her posing. She has the best stage presence. She's amazing at what she does. And with Janet, she's a student of the game. I don't know how she's been able to be so consistent and so motivated for so long, but I can promise you, you're going to just because, like, people are like, oh, well, she won it last year. And then what happened was she won it last year. And you got to remember, just months before the Olympia, she beat Issa to win the show. Yeah, she beat Issa to win the Arnold Classic. People forget about that because Issa is currently the Miss Olympia. Don't think for a second that Janet cannot take that spot back and win again at the Arnold just because Issa has the momentum of winning the Olympia. And I promise you, knowing Janet and knowing a career like this, how tenacious someone has to be to have a career like this, she's absolutely going to give this her all. All that did was spark a fire in Janet, and a sparked fire in Janet is a scary thing because this girl's already motivated. Now defending her title going into the next year against someone who just beat her at the Olympia is man, she's going to be perfect. Like, she's going to be so damn good at that. She already know it. Like, unless something happens, like an injury or illness, or I remember one year, I think she was stuck in Florida because of like a storm and she couldn't get to the, I think she couldn't get to the Olympia or the Arnold. Like, that's the only way that she's not going to be 100%. So I think the battle is going to be the next 3 girls. And, it's going to be a really interesting story. I hope some of these girls vlog their story because it's really cool to know these girls, like to actually know them and to know like their personalities and to like watch their careers. the next one I think is going to be the most tenacious out of all of them. So Angelica TEIXEIRA. Now, Angelica, another one, another awesome competitor, trains with Kim, just like Janet, who's one of the better coaches in the world. There's zero doubt about that. And you look at Angelica and you look at what happened to her at the Olympia this year. And, everyone was like, is Angelica going to three-peat? Is she going to win her third Olympia in a row? And, it was kind of like everyone kind of thought, yeah, it's probably going to happen. She just looks like it's just Angelica. She's just killing it. She's worked her way up. And this is a good lesson for people who are like going through the ranks, and maybe you're a pro watching this and being like, you're not getting your placings that you want to get. Angelica wasn't either early in her career. Let's see. I don't think she got 31st place at the Olympia in 2015. Oh, because that's the first place. We don't have the other shows. That's funny. 31st place. They stopped placing people at 16, and she didn't get 31st place. So looking at, I want to say she got like 9th at that one. Maybe it was like, I think she got 9th at that one, if I'm correct. But she was, she wasn't. The next year she did really good. She got 2nd. And then after that, she followed up with a win, and then she followed up with a win, and then she got 3rd place. So just for you, so you guys know, earlier in her career, she was not destroying shows like this. She was getting, and she was always doing decent, but never like, she wasn't just winning shows. All of a sudden it clicked. She started killing it. And then that's just a good lesson for people to learn who are going through the ranks. So now Angelica brought a package. She came on stage at the Olympia. She looked awesome. She hit her back pose, and she looked just a little bit soft, just a little bit watery, a little bit soft in the glutes. And that's really the only thing that I think cost her from going from 1st to 3rd. She just wasn't 100% that day. And it's just so you guys know, like, you're trying to peak your body for one day. Angelica, she didn't do any other shows besides the Olympia that year. She went from Olympia to Olympia. She was competing at the Olympia to the Arnold. I think when girls do the Olympia to the Arnold, it kind of gives them it keeps them in check for a long period of time. So they're not going so far off plan, and they can have a more predictable outcome. So I'm a fan of pros doing shows like that, where they're doing a show in September, and then they're doing a show in March. And it's kind of that halfway point where you're kind of always keeping an eye on things, not letting things get too far. And I'm not saying that Angelica ever let anything get too far. I'm just saying it's hard to keep your body fully in check without having something that like keeps you there. And I think honestly, that's what it came down to. I think that if she's coming back, and Angelica, first off, let me talk about Angelica's personality. I think her and Ashley have been the best representatives for the Miss Olympia title in the history of it. These girls are just so like good. You never catch them off. They're always happy to share their experiences. They're always very friendly. Even if they're down, they never show it. They're always talking positive and just great like ambassadors for our sport. So Angelica, if you're watching this, I'm going to say thank you very much for all you do for our sport. You have been an amazing representative of our sport, and I don't think for a second that Angelica's run is on its way down. And if you guys are thinking that, you guys don't know Angelica. Okay, you don't win as many shows as a girl wins like this without being tenacious. The girls that are winning these shows, they're like all nice and bubbly and sweet, but inside they're killers, absolute killers, just burning with motivation that they can't even control. Absolutely obsessed to be at this level and doing that well. There's just no other way to do it. You just have to. You have to be so focused and obsessed with it. So Angelica going from 1st place to 3rd place at the Olympia, I will promise you is gonna spike a fire in her, and you will not see her off at this year's Arnold. I bet you she's been thinking about this since the 2nd day after the Olympia, probably since right when she got her 3rd place. She was like, I'm going to win the Arnold. So that is going to be a scary showdown. That is why I have her in the upper ranks. I do think that she's going to be it's hard to say. These 3 are going to be really tough. I am not going to be surprised if she edges out Isa for the win. I am not going to be surprised if Janet edges out or beats everyone and remains the champion. And I'm not going to be surprised if Isa carries her momentum from the Olympia to the Arnold and becomes just the girl who just no one can beat. Okay. Isa was now one. I'll say one thing about Isa. Isa's very, very sweet girl. She always goes out of her way to try to talk to me. She is, and this is, we've been talking, me and Issa have been friends for a while, and we don't speak the same language. She speaks Portuguese, and now she's a little better at English. But even back then, when she just couldn't speak any English at all, she would go out of her way to just like try to talk to me and be nice and just make the effort. And I think that's so admirable because, you could tell she was trying, she was trying, and I thought it was so sweet. And she's always so kind to me. And, these girls they're just like so nice and friendly. It doesn't matter who you coach, what team you're on. They're there for them. They know how it goes. They're competing against other girls on stage. There are competitions between them. There's nothing, it's not like a team versus team or I coach with this, whatever. We're all just, it's all just friendly, and that's how it's supposed to be. Now, Issa's one girl that I saw a while back, and it was funny is that Ashley was actually one that kind of was showing me who Issa was at one point. And she's like, there's this girl in Brazil that you got to look at. And I was like, damn, if that girl ever wins, it's going to be really, really hard for anyone to pass her because she's structurally, no one looks like Issa. If you're going to try to out waist Issa or out pretty muscle Issa or out shoulder Issa or out V-taper Issa, you can't. Like, you just can't. Like, she's got the craziest ratios. Her ratios are so crazy that literally, like, no one has them. Like, no one has these ratios. So when you talk about shoulder width, high lats, and a good V-taper, right? Like, that's something you're kind of born with. So she's got these high lats up here that give her this incredible V-taper. A lot of girls will have a V-taper that's way down here. Like, their lats will be low. So when they build their lats up, it just makes their waist a little wider. It gives them a better V-taper, but makes their waist wider. When you have high lats like that, it's not affecting your waistline in any capacity whatsoever. Like, zero effect on her waist. That's why her waist looks so crazy right here too. So when you have a wide shoulder base, a great lats that she can get is pretty much as big as she wants, and it's still going to be bikini, and you have that pretty muscle with perfect balance. Now, what I will say is that Issa at the Arnold last year did not have the balance that she had at the Olympia. Okay. She was a little bit leg heavy, just a little bit leg soft. And then all of a sudden at the Olympia, she brought a package that was perfectly balanced. And I was like, oh shit, she's going to probably win this damn show. And she did. So Issa is scary, one, because if she brings the same level of balance and conditioning that she brought to the Olympia, she will absolutely win it. She will absolutely win it, no matter what anyone else brings, because she's now the criteria. She's now the criteria for what Miss Olympia is. If she matches that, she should win it, not only because that's the new criteria or the current criteria because she just won it, but because her structure, no one can compete with it. No one looks like this. So that's why it's so scary, because you just don't know. The only one that I've seen who kind of looks like this structurally is Daraja. And that's why I say she's so scary. Look at the resemblance of the wide shoulders, the high lats, and then and what I talked about earlier is just the waistline's a little bit different, right? So just a little bit there. I think that when that comes into perfection, you're looking at her climbing the ranks and eventually being in that same category with her. How good is she? Does Daraja bring that this time? Where now it's like, whoa, there's a new structure in town and it's Issa versus Daraja? Entirely possible. Entirely possible. So this is I'm going to be super excited about this one. I got to tell you guys, obviously I'm a coach, but I'm a fan first, and this is one of those ones where I'm like, damn, this is going to be a crazy, crazy good Arnold. So I'm super excited about it. That's what I got for you guys. I hope you guys can feel my excitement. I'm like getting pumped up. For this shit because I'm like, man, it's just right down the street. I just can't wait. I'm already got my tickets. I'm just like, I can't wait to get to this freaking show. To all the girls who I mentioned, you are all amazing competitors. That's just where I think it's based on trends and whatnot, where you're going to place. I'm friends with a lot of you, and I appreciate that friendship so much. There's a couple girls I would have loved to have seen do this show that aren't in this lineup. But I think that it's almost as competitive as it could have been, minus Laura Lee and Jennifer. I think that this lineup is very, very, very competitive and very reminiscent of the Olympia. So to all of you, I say good luck. Crush it the next few weeks. I believe in each and every one of you. I think that each and every one of you bring just a little bit bring your 100% best and make the improvements that you need to make, could be in that upper ranking. So good luck to all of you. Hats off to all of you amazing coaches out there coaching these amazing, beautiful athletes. And good luck. I will see you at the Arnold Classic, where I'll be screaming like a little boy at a Justin Bieber concert. I'll talk to you guys later.